Hi, I'm Matt Nesto, the editor-in-chief at PYMNTS.com. I'm joined today by Bala Janakiraman. He is the CEO of OnBe. And for this edition of On the Agenda, we're talking about digital payments, but also just the real-time component and how consumers and businesses are dealing with what's, I don't know, is it fair to say, Bala, a rocky road for the launch of RTP? It seems like it's, to borrow from the Beatles, a long and winding road. But one that I guess we're starting to see some progress on.
That's right. First of all, thank you, Matt, for having me on this session. Really excited to be joining you here. And as I think about the purpose of OnBe, just to make sure that we're all on the same page here, our mission is to help our enterprise clients figure out the best way to deliver a payment recipient experience in the context of allowing the recipients to have choice in how they want to receive payments from a business. And we support them in their journey to provide that compelling experience while at the same time helping them manage the risk, complexity, and cost of disbursements. So all that's said and done, I think the way OnBe looks at this is, what is going on in the consumer's mind, especially given the last couple of years of challenges that we've all seen in the economy and the society at large, and how does that translate into what the consumer would prefer to be the optimal recipient experience? And that's where instant payments, RTP, all fit in. And what we see is a wide variety of choices based on the generational expectations of how consumers want to receive payments. So you have a segment that clearly wants to receive payments right now in the modality of their choice. And you also have segments that are very comfortable with, I'd say, the more established ways of receiving payments, be it a plastic card, be it a virtual card, be it a ACH, that they've been used to pre-pandemic. So we see an entire plethora of needs that brands have to think about and address as they consider how to optimize and deliver a great payment experience to their recipients.
I like that way you brought up choice, because in my mind, I'm thinking of like parallels. And one thing that I see is like, if you look at like the alcohol delivery services, like there's the super fast one, I need it in 20 minutes if for whatever reason, you're caught in a pinch and you need to throw a giant party. And then there's the sort of, just mail it to me. I don't care if it takes 3 days or 10 days. I'm a consumer of casual nature. And so there is a spectrum of need there, it sounds like, that you're talking about.
100%. And I think, what we see with brands is brands are realizing there is a duality to the payments experience. And most brands have done a phenomenal amount of work over the last, call it 5-7 years, to automate, simplify, and provide choice when consumers want to pay them. And now they're realizing that there is a flip side to that. There is a reciprocal equation when you and I as consumers want to get our loyalty payment, our incentive payment, our refund payment, our workforce payment. I want to get it as quickly as possible in the method that I'm most comfortable with as a recipient. And brands are waking up to the duality of it to say, it's not just enough to deliver a great experience while receiving payments. They got to deliver an equally great experience while sending payments to the same consumer. And that's where we see, to your point about choice and to your point about a great experience, the duality is becoming more and more obvious right now.
Wow. So are you saying channel supersedes speed in the minds of most consumers?
I think it really comes down to how the consumer looks at how they want to receive it, because the modality and the channel are very different depending on the application. Take, for example, you are moving apartments and you've just wrapped up a rental in one place and you got to go to another place, and the security deposit could be thousands of dollars. You want that money right now because you want to go put down the deposit elsewhere or buy furnishings for the new place that you're moving into. So there is a desire to have that instantly available right now in my mobile wallet so that I can transact where I go, right? So that's one expectation of how a consumer looks at receiving that high ticket payment. You could also have a situation where a consumer is going to get a incentive payment for buying a refrigerator or a washing machine, and that they often look at it as, for choice of a better term, play money, right? So that's kind of like, I considered to make that spend. I made the spend. I'm getting a rebate back. It's going to come in 6 weeks after I install it and I go up and register myself. I'm okay if it comes up as a digital card into my wallet. I'm okay if it shows up as a physical card that I can put into my wallet and use it when I shop. So depending on the context and the size of the payment, consumers are flexible in how they think about the channel and the modality.
Is there a number, like you say, the size of the payment, where people start to get, change their behaviors or their desires?
I'd say once the payment gets into the three figures, the mid to high three figures, they want to make sure that they get it right away in the choice, in the modality that they prefer.
How do you feel businesses and the companies that are doing disbursements in any form are doing in terms of reducing complexity and meeting these changing needs for choice?
Yeah, so it's a great question, Matt. And that's where we rely on a lot of primary research with US consumers primarily to understand what is emerging in the markets in which our clients play in. Because in the absence of a solution like Onbe that provides a simplified experience for the brands to send payments through and for the recipient to come in and decide how to accept the payment, brands would have to go figure out integrations with the multiple endpoints. They'd have to figure out, how do I integrate with a prepaid card provider? How do I integrate with a push to debit provider? How do I integrate with RTP? How do I integrate with ACH? And there'll be segments where they may even have to, cut a regular old paper check. So now all this complexity would be left to the brand to go solve for. And that's really where us coming in as a single source technology provider, bringing in the choice and the avenues through which recipients want to get paid, and providing a simplified front end where clients can connect using our APIs and our file processing capabilities to send us payments, makes it super simple for clients to really focus on what they do best while offloading all the risk and the complexity of figuring out, how does Matt want to get paid? What's the right channel in which Matt wants to consume the payment? And how do we deliver an experience to Matt that is actually an extension of the brand? All of that burden and heavy lifting falls on Onbe's shoulder. We work on behalf of the brand, and they focus on their core business, and we focus on our core, which is around helping brands figure out and solve the disbursement challenge while delivering a great recipient experience for the recipients.
So not surprisingly, younger consumers are more acclimated and more oriented towards wanting digital, fast, rapid, instant payments than, say, baby boomers. What are you seeing on that front? Are there any changes? Are things being done? Should things be being done to, broaden out the demand and to make it more comfortable, the experience for real-time payments?
Yeah, look, and I think the answer that I would give pre-pandemic would have been different than where we are right now as a society. We've seen a big secular shift to digital payments across a variety of generations. I think whether it's baby boomers, Gen Xers, everybody is now attuned to digital payments. We've seen that big shift happen over the last 2.5 years. So digital is certainly here to stay. But in terms of the preponderance by generation, we do see market differences. Even though it's going up, certain generations prefer digital more than others. And that's really where, for us, as we think about whether it's RTP, P2P applications, faster ACH, those all become really, really powerful as you look at the millennial and the Gen X demographic, who are more in tune with consuming payments in a digital and instant fashion. So
is there an area that you feel like is misunderstood? Like, we do stories all the time on real-time payments and the growth of it. And it still is a small, low single digit percentage of the overall marketplace. Gets a lot of headlines, a lot of talk, a lot about the future. But as far as the here and now, are there other, discrepancies, misunderstandings, do you feel myths that you would like to bust here today on payments?
Yeah, I'd say it's less about myths. I'd say it's more about enduring habits. So, for example, if you think about the convenience of a regular card, that habit around how to receive it and how to use it is fairly enduring. People are really comfortable receiving, whether it's an incentive payment, a refund payment, a workforce payment, onto a prepaid card. And then the choice really comes in, how do they want to receive that card? Is that a physical card, because that's what they're most comfortable with, because they can touch and feel it, have it in their wallet with them? Or do they want it in a instant fashion to go straight to their mobile wallet, because the mobile form factor is the hub for all their transactions? So that's where we see, yes, the modality around a card is well understood. It's easy to use, widely accepted. And then again, based on how I think about, running my life, I'd either prefer it in a wallet, in a physical form factor, depending on the generation I come from, or I'd prefer it in my mobile phone, in my mobile wallet, because that's really where I'm driving a lot of my payment activity. So it's less about a myth, but it's more about understanding that some habits are enduring, but then the digitization or how you apply it is where we see an opportunity to educate the brands to make sure that they provide this variety of applications in which recipients can consume them.
Right. And just because their habits are old doesn't mean they're wrong or bad. And I think sometimes businesses have to be aware of that. I hear a lot about the stress that, for example, credit unions face with, I was talking to a credit union the other day, and it was like, holding hands in the parking lot and, helping them into the branch versus, having digital payments and, modern, online banking and stuff. And so there's a real discrepancy there that they're trying to serve dual purposes.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where, we have to think about making these solutions as inclusive as possible. If brands go down the path of offering just one flavor in which recipients can receive their payments, that's making it challenging for their entire segment of customers that they're interacting with. So that's really where we do the heavy lifting to figure out what's the optimal choice, what's the optimal mix of payment methods, what's the optimal delivery vehicles. And the brands should really focus on telling us who they want to get paid, how much do they want to get paid, and when do they want the payment to happen. And then it's up to us, Anvi, to go figure out what's the optimal way in delivering the payment experience consistent with the brand image that the brand wants to deliver.
I like that use of the word optimal there, because that really points to the vagaries and the variables, is I guess the word I'm looking for, that exist in that thing. So, with that in mind, are there sort of predictions that you are making at Onbe about just sort of the evolution and the challenges that are in front of us right now, and just sort of advice that you would give to businesses that are looking to make these changes?
Yeah, so I'll go back to what I started the conversation early on with. I think there is an increasing realization with our clients on the duality of payments. Automation and simplification is not adequate in just the receiving side of it. They're realizing that in the absence of digital tech-forward solutions, they are subjecting the recipients to old ways of receiving payments, primarily check-based. So they're waking up to the reality that for providing an excellent experience on the way out, they would have to consider more modern, more tech-forward ways of managing their disbursements operation. And there are various ways in which they are solving the problem. And a comment that you made earlier about credit unions and financial institutions resonate with me. More often than not, they start their search for a better solution with their banking partner to say, hey, I'm still sending checks. Is there a better way to do this with my consumers because of the preponderance of digital and mobile applications we see? And that's where I think banks are realizing that working with fintechs like Onbe is a complementary solution that they can provide to their treasury clients in leapfrogging and going beyond the traditional paper and cash-based processing system for sending money out. So that's one thing that I would point out is emerging as a need, both from clients and both from banking institution that wants to partner with companies like Onbe to provide that solution to their clients. The second aspect I would say is enterprises are also looking at their software platforms to say, I'm running all my payment operations on a software applications. How should I think about integrating other fintech capabilities like Onbe as part of their software stack so that it's easier to send disbursements through a single point application versus having to source a different application and go through another integration to automate and make their payment operations optimal. So to your point about optimality is making sure that banking institutions are thinking about partnering with fintechs, and software application providers are also thinking about partnering with fintechs to make this disbursements application and disbursements operation as optimal as possible for enterprise clients.
Interesting. Hey, Bala, thank you very much. Bala Janakiraman, CEO of Onbe. Appreciate you coming on Payments. And wow, a lot going on. I guess we're going to have to pencil something in to catch up again and do an update.
I look forward to that, Matt. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Take care.